See how I do that. Okay, this is our first epics list sync meet. The main goal here is just for us to ensure that we're working on the more pressing issues and tasks for the epics list to be delivered. Is the first one. I'm a little bit lost. I suppose you are also a little bit lost, and that's fine. That's why we're doing this to avoid all this uh, unclear requirements and work to make them more clear and to focus on better stuff to do. Jack yesterday mentioned on the retrospective about clear on what everyone is working. I cannot guarantee that on for the rest of the group, but at least for our insider group, I will try the best to make it very clear what we are working and what's really important to everyone. So I created a little agenda in there. It's not a rigid format. Of course, nothing here is rigid. Please feel free to suggest or change it as you wish for the next one. But for today, let's use it just because of the timing as well. I put in there the goal, as I just said, and the link for the epic that is the focus of this meeting. First of all, I would like to see if anyone is working on something that's towards that. I put there that I'm working for the redirect of the work of the issues, no, of the epics to the work items. So I did that already for the issues level of things, but on the project level. But I also have a merge request for the group level, which is the next thing that I think we should do. It's not really associated on that epic, but and that's something that maybe we
Don't-
should work on. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, I don't I don't think we need that for the epics list.
Okay.
So when we release the epics list, we still want it to be on slash
On Lash
epics.
Epics. Okay.
It's that specific. The redirects are important for the consolidated list because at that point everything will be on slash work items. So if someone visits issues or epics, then that's when we need to do the redirect to the work items page, and that's when it needs to have the um, type
Mm-hmm.
query parameter
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
the URL.
Perfect. So I am the prioritizing that, which is good. The prioritizing stuff is always good. The dynamic work items list, I suppose it's not needed for this one as well, since we're gonna still be on the slash epics. So that new button is still just for the epic. So I'm also the prioritizing that.
Yeah,
Uh, so on your side, go ahead, please.
yeah. So the main stuff, as far as I can tell, we basically already have feature parity with the legacy experience for epics. We've got basically everything. Um, so the main thing that we need to focus on is performance, which is still probably around like half the speed of of where we really want it to be. So
Mm-hmm.
we're doing quite a lot of kind of semi-experimental stuff or to try just to try and see what we can do. So the two things I'm working on at the moment is uh, deferring when we load a lot of the widget data. So when you actually load the epics list rather than fetching um, I don't know, basically everything. We
Mm-hmm.
just fetch stuff like the titles and the web URLs, the references and stuff like that, and display all of that. And then in the background, we fetch all the rest of the information and pop it all into the screen once it's ready.
Okay.
So that's almost done. It's in review at the moment. I think it's with Natalia for like a final maintainer review. So maybe that'll
Mm-hmm.
be merged today or tomorrow. Um, so that's quite a cool
Um,
one. It means that the page does load a bit quicker.
Out of
Um,
curiosity, I know that we don't
yeah.
have the fare in our
No.
backend, so we are doing multiple queries for that.
Yes.
On
Yeah. So we're
the,
doing.
go ahead.
I was going to say. So one of the challenges with that was that it's kind of difficult to make two queries that have a kind of overlap of data
Yeah.
um, without duplicating what you query for in a lot of cases. So we've had to do some kind of custom stuff on the front end to manually resolve some of the differences between the two queries. Um,
Mhm.
but it is working at the moment. So um, effectively, it makes one query which is much quicker. It's probably resolves in about a third of the time. Um, but that only has kind of like the skeleton data for the page and enough so that you can just click on things if you're on a slow network and it's taking a long time to load. At least you can click on something and the drawer will open and load up everything. And in the background, everything we didn't query for, along with all of the lightweight, easy to like fast to query stuff, that comes
Mhm.
again in the second query. Um, but the first one obviously misses out things like linked items and um, assignees and anything that includes other like
Yeah. Yeah,
heavier operations.
I saw that you're filtering the labels also it's on a second query and you're not filtering it out on the main query and this kind of thing. That's really
Mhm.
good, which is one
Yeah.
of my questions actually because I created that filtering on the widget and I wasn't seeing anyone using it. So I'm glad that people are
Mhm.
starting to use
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So we actually already introduced that to some extent by just looking at what data we but the data that we display for the epics list is different to what we do for the issues. For example, there's some stuff that we don't need, and there's also some stuff that we were querying but never displaying. It was just we just put it in there for some reason. So we'd already made a change to update the query that we use for the epics list to only include the data that we actually need. And this is the next step by splitting it into two queries where one loads much quicker than the other one. And we try and
That's really
the
nice.
overall time to load everything is still the same, but it feels a bit quicker because you get that first response back
Okay.
faster.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. So the main thing is performance. I know that Eugenia is responsible on that in there. Maybe I should have invited her for this meeting. Maybe I will do for the next one so we can sync up on that side of things as well. Um, as far as I can see on the sub epic for the performance, there is just three issues open. Um, so yeah, I won't focus too much on the performance because Eugene is doing that, and I know that's all the things that, as far as I know, it's already in progress. So we don't
Mhm.
have too much to think about it. Another thing that was asked to be included on this epic, not because of the scope of the epic list itself, but to simplify the front end in the future for the next listing work items work that we're gonna have, is to expose more data in the GraphQL. So I did a base work on that recently, exposing some paths on the namespace level. So now, like uh, new project path or reporting abuse path, this kind of thing, it's all normalized in the namespace path. And I saw that Matthew got some issue in there as well to start working. Vedant is also working on some of these issues. So Matthew, thank you for participating on that and helping us with this. I think this, as I said, it's not as important for this part of the epic list itself, but more for the next listing issues that we're gonna have. Not just listing, but everything regarding work items. Maybe you could sync up with Vedant as well and see if he's really working actively on both of those issues that he's on his name. Otherwise, you can also try to take one of them to help. I know you have a lot of experience with GraphQL, so that should be easier for you. And again, thank you. On moving forward, because I don't want to stay here on the what we are doing too much. My focus is really what are you guys concerned? What's on the top of your mind to deliver this, and how we can define the definition of done for this thing. So honestly, as I said there, I'm a little bit lost. So I'm trusting 100% for now on you, Jack. But my goal is to end this meeting 50% on Jack, 50% on Matthew. So let's go. Uh,
Um, So from my perspective, other than performance, we already know. I think one of the problems that we ran into when we kind of did the rollout for work item issues was that there was a lot of unexpected, sudden QA spec work that needed to be done right at the very end, and that wasn't something that was seen ahead of time. I think it was mostly because there was a kind of change in how some of the feature flags were being worked with.
Mhm.
So suddenly extra QA specs got triggered in pipelines and everything went red. Um, so that's something that I'm investigating at the moment is just seeing what is going to break when we enable things by default, or even further down the line when the feature flag is just removed entirely, just to kind of get ahead of that and at least flag where we need to go and make changes. Not necessarily go and make them right now, but just make sure that we're aware of the work that we might need to do to kind of finish this work because enabling the feature flag to make it live is one part of the job, but it's not done at that point. We've
Yeah,
got to do all the cleanup work. So getting ahead
I
of
see.
this is probably a good thing to do.
Do you know what feature flags are required for the epics list?
I'm pretty sure. So short answer, not exactly. But I'm pretty sure everything except for the work item epics list is already enabled on GitLab.com,
Okay,
I think. So
so
if that one feature flag is enabled, then the work item epics list is enabled. But all the other stuff that needs to be enabled so that we can enable it, I'm not 100% sure because I don't know is still um, what feature flags are still even exist,
yeah,
like the namespace level work items and work
yeah.
item epics and all those kind of ones. I don't know whether we've cleaned them up and got rid of them at this point or not.
Um, Matthew, do you mind adding to your plate, if you're not too busy, a check for what feature flags are required for making this work and putting that on the Epic? Or or the
Yeah.
yeah,
I can do a bit of investigation into that, and I could even have a look at what's enabled in production right now. Because if the
yeah.
feature flags are enabled everywhere, we can probably just remove them, I guess. Um,
Yeah, because one of my side projects that I'm trying to focus on a larger scope project is the feature flag cleanup.
hmm.
But like I don't want to be the goalkeeper for that. I want to really delegate to the people, to the rest of the team to really organize that and avoid this pattern that we have, as Jack said, to create a work feature flags, enable them, and then forget that they exist. So for that, I think we have to be very clear on each part, if each project that we deliver, that the deliver means removing feature flag, not really just enabling it for GA. It's really removing it. So if you can help us to at least creating the list of what's required, and then we can
Hmm.
check if the old ones that's required, if we can remove them with other teams, other projects, and everything like that. So we can reduce to ideally each project have only one feature flag to go keep that. So that would be the ideal scenario. And I cannot write and talk at the same time, so I'll write all that later. uh,
Yeah, no, that's all good. I can take a look at that. So just to be clear, work items epic list is sort of the main feature flag that enables this,
yeah,
but there's other prerequisite flags, and
yeah,
we want to identify those to see if we can remove them. I think that
yeah.
makes sense.
Perfect. Thank you
Yeah,
very much,
yeah.
Matt.
Probably just have to kind of work backwards,
Yeah. Uh,
find where we're checking one flag and work all the way back.
yeah,
Yeah.
one thing that might help you, I don't know if you saw, let me see if I can find. We have that week page with the list of all feature flags, but we also
Mhm.
have an epic with just the feature flags scope for product planning. So maybe having that list as a guide just to see the name of feature flags and this kind of thing, ideally improving documentation of all that could help. So this is the epic where you can find the list of all the feature flags for our group.
Oh well.
Oh, well, indeed. 18. And we are working currently in 3 projects. So, yeah, I want to
Mm.
improve that. We should have tops 5 feature flags active at the same time, in my opinion. But, anyways. Anything else, Matt, Jack, that you're concerned about QA or something like that?
Mostly just the other thing that I put in the agenda, which I should probably s split into another bullet point.
Okay.
I'll put down here.
Yeah.
Um, um,
Mm,
so I'm pretty sure that Amanda said that if we have either custom fields and or custom statuses kind of available, or
mhm.
if we've released them before we go to release the epics list also needs to support filtering and stuff by custom statuses and custom fields and everything. So um we'll need to have a quick look into that to see what's
Um,
going to land.
Yeah, I'll talk with her about that because, as far as I understand, the slash epics it's kind of deprecated already. So I don't think adding feature retroactively on that would be wise. As far as I understand, we are just doing that to ensure that we have a similar experience on the legacy URL and that in the new URLs that we're gonna have on
Mm.
consolidated view and all that. So
Yeah.
I'll talk with her to ensure that we don't have that. But also on the other hand, I hope we can deliver that before custom fields. So we also have that as an excuse that we don't need
Yeah.
that because like it is a
Yeah.
legacy view. Anyways, so
hmm
I'll talk with
The
her.
other thing as well is the other thing as well is that the front end for this is the same whether it's epics list or whether it's an issues list or consolidated view, it's all the same front end. We just have different kind of features enabled depending on what type of work items you're trying to display.
Yeah.
So even if it's not us that is working on adding the filtering support for this, as soon as it is available, it will appear on the epics
Hmm.
list.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be a problem, but it's just something to be aware of, just in case. Yeah.
Okay. Noted. Matt, top of her mind.
Yeah, I was just thinking, obviously performance is going to be a concern for this if it's not quite at the level that it was before. I was just wondering if there was a metric that we were targeting or if we were just going to say if it's, somewhere in the same ballpark performance-wise, if it's
I
okay to release.
I think Nicholas kind of created uh um, a definition of what is ideal. Not for this one in particular, but in general, for the performance on work items in general. So maybe we could check with him. I think ballpark isn't good enough. Again, I'm I'm particularly considering the slash epics kind of legacy for now. So ballpark, the same thing that we had, should be fine. But I'm not sure. Casio, check with Nicholas the performance definition. Okay, let me start marking myself here, otherwise I will forgot those. This one and this one. Cool. Uh, okay, Matthew, I'll mark you here as well. But like, if you prefer to open an issue for the check of the feature flags and all that, please just try to ensure that the issue that you are working for that is on the same epic, the epic here on the top, the work item group list thing. But if you don't want
Mhm.
to create an issue for that, if you think it's too fast, it's fine as well, just to have visibility.
Yeah, I'm thinking even just a comment on that epic with a table that says this flag needs to be enabled. Here's the current status in production.
It
Um,
could even be like just a comment saying that you updated on the description. I would rather have that on the description of the epic.
mhm,
Ideally, talking about that, then on the old times in GitLab, every epic should have the single source of truth for what the epic is holding. So, like a list of feature flags that we need is part of the single source of truth, in my opinion. So if you can create that such list, such table, just put on the description and add a comment just saying, "Oh, I updated the description to ensure the single source of truth. Now we have the list of feature flags that we need for that." And that not just for that, but like everything that we find that we need, I'll also probably update like explaining why we have all those GraphQL issues in there to make it more
mhm.
clear what is our goal from what's the exit plan on that, or what's the definition of done, and all the requirements for that should be on the description. Cool. Any extra comments of how or what I should do to help us to get that over the gate?
I think that that covers it. Just in terms of those couple of issues to do with exposing the those GraphQL work item things, they're not required to actually release this. It's more just a moving forward thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was more like a prioritization scheme that we did.
Mhm,
Like since this is the priority one and this is also needed for future work, we are putting them together in there, but it's
mhm,
actually not required for the epics list itself. I'll talk with Vladimir. Maybe I'll move them outside of that epic to make it more clear and more concise. This way, like we can release the epics list and still work on those GraphQL attributes in parallel, but focusing more on the epics list itself, but
mhm.
secondly on the work items, oh, on the GraphQL,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. I was going to say the other thing as well is that we can make all these nice improvements to the GraphQL API, but then we've also still got to do the work to actually consume the new data
Yeah.
in the front end as well, which is also pushed back a whole milestone as well. So,
Yeah.
um,
So one thing that is maybe not, it wasn't very well communicated is like we do it like that because of the multi-version compatibility problem. Are you aware of that, Matthew, as well? Oh,
Yeah.
multi-version, yeah.
Mhm,
So I'm acting here as a manager of sorts and delegating all that and helping you guys coordinate that because I will be focusing on fixing the multi-version thing to avoid this kind of planning where we have to plan all these backend features or attributes on the GraphQL one release or two before the front end. So for now, we still have to do it. So that's why we have that thing in there. But ideally, if I finish the multi-version thing soon, future work by next quarter, maybe we won't need to plan it like that. So we won't be requiring this kind of strategy of putting backend work before, to align everything. Yeah. How does
nice.
that sound for you all?
Sounds great.
Everyone happy? Matthew,
Yep.
go
sounds good.
rest and enjoy your evening. Jack, thank you very much. Enjoy your day. And I hope you guys have fun. Any questions or if anything that you need, anything that you find that I can help, just ping me on Slack or whatever issue, Epic, and I'll try my best to make sure that we achieve this in the best way and with everyone happy.
Nice. Thanks.
Thank you all. Have a
Cool.
nice day and evening.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.